Good morning, this is Studmuffin 1986 and welcome back to the channel. If you go into the game, you'll see that the T22 medium is now available in the store. Warning, this is not a direct purchase. This is in crates with only a 5% drop rate. You can see this when going into the store. You'll only see this thing in the crates. It's 55 bucks if you include tax for 5 crates. I'm telling you, this is definitely not worth it. Do not do crates. I've had a bad experience with crates in my past. I would never recommend anyone doing anything with crates, especially when there's not a guaranteed way to get it. I've done things with crates. There are some crates that come out that'll give you like a certificate or something like per crate that you open, and however many and you have 100% chance of getting an X amount of like one certificate per crate that you open, and if you get an X amount of certificates, then you have 100% chance of getting the tank. And at that point you can think to yourself, okay, am I willing to spend X amount of money to get this tank? And I have to spend, you have to think to yourself, okay, I've got to spend the full amount to get like 100% of the certificates and not rely on the 1 or 2 or maybe even 5% drop rate. This thing, honestly, it does look like a good tank, but I'm telling you, it is not worth the gamble. I unfortunately will admit I have spent, in my more naive days, it was actually around when the K91 first came out, only in crates. I can't even remember what the drop rate was, but there was no guaranteed way to get it. And I had previously done crates. I've had some luck, and I've never had a bad experience, and I've only done it maybe a couple times. And I was like, oh, maybe if you spend an X amount, of course Wargaming will give it. No, you cannot think like that. People can go down rabbit holes of spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars and not even get anything that they wanted. Now, you can think to yourself, it's like, oh, but there's other things like gold and stuff that you can get in here. Yeah, I mean, the gold itself, if you just buy the gold directly, you get more gold for cheaper. So yeah, I mean, Wargaming's like, oh yeah, here's some gold, like a trade-off, but this is such a gamble. And a 5% drop rate, your chances are so slim. And for 50 bucks for only 5 tries, please do not do this. I didn't even finish my story. I got a little sidetracked, but I ended up spending, I think, about 400, and I totally regretted it. Such a waste of money, and I'm ashamed. I totally admit I am completely ashamed. It's definitely not one of my prouder moments, but I couldn't do anything about it. I was super frustrated. I ended up getting somewhat of a refund from iTunes, and then Wargaming threatened to shut down my entire account, and it was just such a mess, and I just was not happy with the situation. It is such a rabbit hole of misery. I know I may be sounding a little exaggerative on this, but crates and only 5% drop rate, no guaranteed way to get it, so expensive. Please do not do this. There are so many other better ways. And you may be asking, but Studmuffin, it's the T22 medium. Okay, so I will admit this tank does look pretty good, and there are some things that are very impressive about it, but there's also things that I'm like, and I'll go over that with you. So the T22 medium, when you look at it, it does have impressive armor, especially for a medium tank. The cannon is about the same as the T22A and the OBJ 140. However, its DPM slash rate of fire is less. And Wargaming is trying to compensate for the other awesome aspects of this tank, because the thing is they've got to somewhat make this thing balance. So it does have a lower rate of fire than the T62 and the OBJ 140. The turret armor thing, the armor on this thing is like one of the incredible points, but you can't mistake it for being completely invincible, because now the turret's pretty good. The -6 degrees of gun depression is really good. But your front hull, yeah, I mean, when you're looking at someone head on, you're not going to bounce really much, if anything. And like when angled, yeah, I mean, enemies will still have that chance of hitting you through that hull. Now it does have a triangular hull. What I mean by that is you can do some pretty crazy side scraping with this tank, or even when you're coming at an enemy from an angle and they hit you on the sides, your chances of blocking those rounds are pretty good. And one of the most deadly maneuvers with this thing is the reverse side scraping, which you're not completely invincible, but it's pretty dang good. I am not trying to sell this thing in any way. I'm just giving you an honest review. I personally think this tank looks great, but it is not worth the crates, the risk, the gamble. Do not do this. I know people are going to continue to throw money into crates. There's no way to 100% get people to not do crates, and to each their own. And it's just like a business. If nobody purchased the crates ever, Wargaming would stop doing crates. It's just how business works. Like, hey, we're not making money this way, so we got to think of another way. But that's not going to happen. Anyway, so going back to the armor, and I apologize, my voice is a little out just because I've been recovering from being sick over the past couple days. So bear with me. Yeah, I mean, the T62, it does have good armor. You can get yourself in dangerous situations with this thing, to rely on your armor maybe a little bit too much. Just thinking that it is a little more stronger than it is, which it is really good, but you still have to be very careful of tank destroyers. Here's the other funny thing about a medium tank. Let me just put it this way. If you are putting yourself in a position to be relying on your armor, as much as this thing has armor, you're not playing with a medium tank correctly. There are aspects of medium tanks do have better armor than light tanks, obviously, so you can rely on the armor more. This thing definitely has a lot more armor than like every other medium tank, or a lot of other medium tanks. There are other medium tanks that do have pretty good armor, like the E50. You know, the T62A doesn't have bad armor. I mean, this thing does have a pretty incredible turret. I mean, with that -6 degrees of gun depression, but like, yeah, it's just not worth it. Like, just get the E50M or the T62A. Basically, the point I was making earlier is, as a medium tank, you're not supposed to be relying on your armor as much as you are a heavy tank. If you're playing like a heavy tank and always putting yourself in positions to rely on your armor, yeah, you will definitely bounce a lot more with this thing, but you're playing your tank incorrectly. If you're if this thing can do better than most, but it's not how a medium tank is meant to be played. you can do really good with this thing, but like you do have to be a bit careful. So, I mean, the other thing I was really impressed with was the engine to power weight ratio, its top speed, being a little bit faster than the OBJ 140 and the T22A. However, the terrain resistance and other things here are worse, and that's not going to make your tank be able to perform as well on ground as the T62A or the OBJ 140, even though, yeah, you do have a higher engine power to weight ratio. That is going to definitely slow you down on those terrains where the T62A and the OBJ 140 is going to perform much better. So, like I said, trying to give you guys an honest review here. I personally don't have the tank. I'm proud of it. Ever since that experience I had with the K91, I can definitely say I am much, much more happier not having this tank, the T22, than if I were to have tried. So just my honest 2 cents. I mean, it's your money. You can do what you want. I can't tell you what to do, but in my honest opinion, I definitely would stay away from doing this. If you're thinking, oh, well, it's totally worth it to me if I just maybe do like 1 or 2 crates and look at the amount of gold I can get, it's totally worth it to me. Please, please, please put a please put a set number of crates and do not go past that. But my recommendation in the first place is don't even start, because like I said, that can be quite a bad rabbit hole. So anyway, Stud Muffin 1986, here is your friend. Want to be a help. Not trying to sell this thing. If it does come out for a set amount of like gold price and you can evaluate that, honestly, way better. This tank will get there. It's just going to take time. When this thing first came out, it was a Christmas event. I think it was just last Christmas. And there was, I think, a guaranteed way to get it, but you had to get, you had to spend up to about $500 to $600 to get this tank. Now there's only a 5% drop chance and not a guaranteed way. So yeah, good luck. Once again, Stud Muffin 1986. Keep tanking, and I'm here to watch out for you guys.